Hello, Sharks. My name is Matt Griffin. Please call me Griff.
I'm Donald Lee.
We employ women and put little girls in school. We partner with a demining organization at Lao to make a line of jewelry out of landmines. Sharks, right now you're probably thinking we're crazy. And you're right. But somebody probably said the same thing to you once, and it didn't stop you. We know that businesses are more powerful than bullets. So Sharks, enlist in the unarmed forces today.
I got some for you, Kevin.
What is that?
It's how we mark the dead.
Yeah! Wow. I
love that. I should give you an offer just for that.
Cool.
Welcome to the Shark Tank Podcast. Each week, one of the best entrepreneurs from ABC's network smash hit Shark Tank teaches you how to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. And now your host, serial entrepreneur, TJ Hale.
What's up, Shark Tank fans? Today I'm here to do some work. I got the co-founder of Combat Flip-Flops. This is Griff, also known as Matt Griffin from season 7, and a brand new inked deal partner with Lori Greiner, Damon John, and Mark Cuban. Griff, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So if I'm not mistaken, you just wrapped up your deal, pretty recently?
Yeah, I mean, all the documents went through a couple of weeks ago, and we got the wire confirmation this morning, which is pretty fantastic. We're pretty excited about it. This morning.
So you're calling me from your private jet? It looks like you're still in your house. What's the deal?
No, we're still living the entrepreneurial dream. We're still living modestly and just doing everything we can to grow the business, because that's the goal, right? Is to grow the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people who can't remember, because I get hate mail, but this is the only thing people don't like about my show is that they forget which deal is which, because there's so many Shark Tanks now. So you and your partner, Donald Lee, goes by Lee, were former Army Rangers, and you started a business where you're employing women in Afghanistan and other countries to, your mantra is business over bullets, and you're employing women in parts of the world that are not only impoverished, but war-torn. And it's an amazing story. It's a fantastic product, and I'm really jacked to have you on the show. So what else can you add to that to kind of jog people's memories?
Yeah, no, pretty simple. We make, for our company's Combat Flip-Flops, we make flip-flops. They're bad for running, horse for fighting.
That's funny.
And yeah, you like that?
I do. I like that a lot.
We started as a footwear brand, and we've gone into a full fashion lifestyle brand because we believe that the best way to help these conflict areas that really just need the assistance is to make a cool lifestyle product that U.S. and Western consumers will want, and it'll have a major impact in their communities with a small purchase on our behalf. So that's what we do.
So we just did our premium content, and for those of you watching, if you're getting ready to go on Shark Tank, you should definitely check that out. There'll be a link to that in the links below or in the bio. But the thing that stands out to me after speaking with you just for a few minutes is obviously you're sharp, you've had a really successful background, and you talked about your mission, right? And how you had this strategic objective and you went in there and you're victorious. But on the show, you kind of came off as just you guys, you didn't fit the mold of me. I have a couple Ranger friends, and you guys seem kind of laid back, like maybe we're supposed to underestimate you. I can picture you and Lee kind of just doing commentary, like this whole Clerks thing, Kevin Smith on the side while everyone else is doing the fighting. Do I have you totally wrong? Or you just come across as kind of laid back and matter of fact?
Yeah, I think that once you've been there and done that, you don't have anything to prove to anybody, and we're kind of a little bit older now and realize that we can get more done with honey than vinegar, and we're just really confident in what we're doing. We're experienced, and the best leaders that we've ever seen are the ones that are the most laid back and inspirational versus forceful. So that's our mentality, and it's what we aim for as a company.
I like it. I like it a lot. So let's talk about the business a little bit before we get into the Shark Tank journey. Some of the challenges that you have as a business, and obviously you were in Afghanistan. I just think to myself, I can't really wrap my head around trying to run a business out of a place like Afghanistan, where the government is the big business there, and it's about war/negotiation/ whatever else is happening. At what point do you guys take this from, what would be really cool, Lee, if we did this, to actually saying, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it, man. Let's make it happen. And sandals are coming off the line and you're making contacts. I've got Hasina's name written down here, which I don't know if there's a book about her, but there probably should be. So maybe you and I should start working on that. But how does that come together? I mean, people have a hard enough time making stuff in their backyard as opposed to contracting or partnering with technically refugee status individuals in Afghanistan that are employing women. Like, to me, it's just hard to conceive at this day and age.
So when Lee and I were in conflict areas, the one thing that we saw was that entrepreneurs are the guys who made it there, whether it was the guy who was hustling a gas truck for the U.S. government. He just took a truck and he put a big canister in the back and trucked gas back and forth as an entrepreneur, or he was the guy who set up the soda stand outside the military base. Entrepreneurship is the one thing that survives conflict, right? Because if there's no other opportunity there, you got to make your own. And so what we saw is entrepreneurship was fundamental to the people living in these conflict areas. And we thought to ourselves, these are the guys that are hustling and making the difference. We should do our best to support these guys as community leaders instead of sending armored vehicles and planes and bombs and soldiers over there. So in 2008, I started going back to Afghanistan to do medical clinic work in Afghanistan, and saw a combat boot factory and employing hundreds of people. It was the American dream. We had gone there and set up the ability for them to sustain, defend, and produce for themselves, so we won't have to anymore. And I looked over on a table, and there was a combat boot sole with a flip-flop thong punched through it, and it was the ugliest, coolest thing I'd ever seen. And so I picked it up, I looked at it, I asked the factory manager if we could start making these, and I literally walked out of the factory, drove back to my hotel on my horrible dial-up Afghan connection, and I got on GoDaddy and registered our domain name, and that was it. That's how we started. Yeah.
Keep going, man. Don't stop. And what happened after that?
So then we went on a guerrilla marketing effort. We'd never ran a business before, never made any piece of footwear ever or a physical product, and we had a basic fundamental understanding of how the internet worked. So essentially, we just started reading about how to start a business and how to guerrilla market it. And we put out line sketches to different communities online. They liked it. They responded well, gave us feedback. We modified our designs. And we just kept setting benchmarks, and we kept growing the business and developing product along the way until the point to where we had eventually got enough confidence to sell my motorhome and boat and a couple of my motorcycles, and we paid for a couple hundred pairs of prototypes of flip-flops to be made, and we took them down to a trade show in Vegas and walked around with them in a duffel bag, and I sold 4,000 pair of them. So
prior to that point, I mean, validation's huge, right? Especially for an online business. You've been wearing them, and maybe your buddies had seen them, but had you tried to sell them to anybody else prior to that?
Nope. Mm-mm. We had just simply developed it as a concept, like, hey guys, we're thinking about working in a factory. Here's the product that we're thinking about making. What do you think? And people got online. They liked it. They liked our Facebook page. They commented. They thought it was a great concept, and they said, hey, we'd buy some. So I just invested some money, developed some prototypes and some tooling, and we put them out there on the market, and we sold 4,000 pair of them in the first couple months, and that was it.
Good for you, man. Good for you. It's funny because it goes against some of the advice, the sound advice that I give people, which is if people say they're going to buy it, that's when you send the credit card link, because then they typically change their mind before they enter the information. But obviously, I'm completely wrong in this case because you sold out of them. And it says here that you had, I know you did 134,000 in the 12 months prior to your Shark Tank appearance. You said you were projecting 300,000 for the upcoming year. And what I don't know is how long your business has been around before that. Like, what was the buildup in terms of sales?
So we launched in 2012. We did our first run in Afghanistan, and it was bad. The contracts for the factories had shut down. So those businesses were folding right underneath us. Okay. We missed QA on materials, and we did our first 2,000 pair in Afghanistan. We flew over there to pick them up. They were all bad. We gave them away. I used my personal credit card, bought another 4,000 pair.
Ouch.
Myself, yeah. Have you ever bought 4,000 pair of shoes at once?
No, I can talk to my wife though. Hold on. Yeah. She just left. I personally know.
Yeah, it's pretty stressful. And we found a second factory in Afghanistan, and then they lost their contracts, and I owned a container full of raw materials. We then put the container on a boat, floated it across the ocean, and built a guerrilla flip-flop factory in my garage. And we personally made 4,000 pair of flip-flops ourselves.
So you and Lee are both crazy then, certifiable. Because I think at some point, Lee's like, you know what, Griff? This is the universe talking to us, man. Did that conversation ever happen?
No, for us, it was sink or swim. We had spent all the money on materials, and we had to deliver product, and our backs were against the wall. And necessity is the mother of all invention, and we figured out how to make flip-flops. So we had no idea how to make anything, but now we know our products down to the glue. And to be honest, it was one of the best things that ever happened to us, because now we can go down and speak to our manufacturers about how to make our product. and legitimately stand behind the machine and make it better than them. So it's a pretty cool experience to have that knowledge of your product. And so then we went down to Colombia with our footwear manufacturing. We went back to Afghanistan for our sarong, scarf, and cashmere manufacturing, and started a line of jewelry making landmines in Laos. And we just kept pivoting the business, kept buying product in small volumes, testing it out, selling it, finding the winners, cutting the losers, and then keep selling the winners. And we've just grown our business that way, as by continually delivering product, continually innovating, and then focusing on the revenue generators by watching your numbers.
You said something really important, because the term entrepreneur gets thrown out so much on Shark Tank, but I think you kind of bottled up what that means. When people start, and I was guilty of this when I started my podcast, I just assumed that if it was good, people would gravitate and they would listen, and everyone from Shark Tank would find it. But what you find out real quick in any business is you have to know everything about it, at least at some point to the start, or you have to hire people who know something about it, because eventually you're going to be forced to the limit of your knowledge, of your patience, of your cash flow, and either you're going to do it or you're going to fail and someone else is going to come in and do it better. So you're describing that, but I'm sure I talked to the guys who started Infusionsoft on my podcast, and they said if there was ever any point where we had a choice, we would have quit. But we didn't have a choice. We just had to keep going. And that's why so few people are as successful as we've been. And that's what that reminds me of.
Agreed. Yeah. A lot of people, if they have a way out, they'll take it, versus the old Norse mentality of burn your bridges behind you because we're only going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
So, we talked on the premium insider content about how you kind of got on Shark Tank, so people can check that out. But some of the things that came up, I thought were really beneficial. Whether you did a deal or not, I thought you got some pretty good feedback. So I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. The first thing that caught my attention is you had $300,000 in sales projected at a 5% net. So I'm guessing for those first couple of years, however long it was, you guys are really not making, I'm guessing you were behind the ball financially. Were you finding sources to push money in, or were you just reinvesting every dime that came through the door?
We were reinvesting every dime that came through the door. We all had side hustles and side jobs, and we did whatever we could to keep food on the table while growing the business. And I mean, if you say it out loud, a bunch of first-time entrepreneurs making flip-flops and scarves and war zones, it sounds pretty crazy, right? Who's going to fund that? Really? Come on. So, I mean, this was a cash-based business. We did everything that we could to pre-sell product, communicate to our customers about delivery, and we just kept rolling it over. And so we did that for the better part of 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they'd probably say, look, there's plenty of people in China that know how to do sandals. You don't have to go to the biggest hot spot on the planet and have women doing it.
Correct.
I'm fascinated by that. All right. Yeah. So, and I think so Kevin's actually talked about that, and also the diversification. So I'm going to start with that.
I'm finding the deal too diversified and not focused enough in terms of being an investment. So for me, I'm out.
At the time, you presented 3 products that we saw on TV. You just alluded to the fact that you had other products you had tried that weren't working. But was there ever a time when either you took that advice, or you'd either tried that in the past and said, let's focus on one thing? Because Lori echoed this. If you had one product and you worked on building that up, you wouldn't have all these outside things taking up your attention, which is a facility in Bogota or products being made who knows where else on God's green earth. Give me your thoughts on that.
I'm going to disagree. We're a self-funded footwear flip-flop company. And so people buy flip-flops February through May, and that's the only pair of flip-flops they buy for the year, period. Our flip-flops last year's, so we can count on our customer buying every other May. I can't make money every other May. I have to make money every month, right? So the line that we had is our mission statement says nothing about flip-flops. It says helping entrepreneurs affected by conflict, manufacturing peace through trade. And so flip-flop is a political term. We used to think that jumping out of airplanes and snatching guys in the middle of the night was a good way to help our country. Now we believe it's being an entrepreneur. So people say combat flip-flops and they think of the footwear, but actually it's a person, it's a mindset, it's a mentality. So what we did is we said, hey, we ran out of product to sell after we delivered our first 4,000. And we had a little bit of cash, and we're standing around without a factory that was spun up yet. So we went and delivered our Claymore messenger bag, and that saved our company. A cool little bag for a 13-inch MacBook or iPad. We sold thousands of them, and it helped, right? It was fantastic. And then we go, oh, that kind of worked. And we found a a woman in Afghanistan who was making decorative pillows and curtains, and we said, hey, can you make some sarongs? And so she said, yeah, I'll make some, and they were beautiful, and we sold them, and we made more, right? And it just kept adding money to the company and revenue. So by month, we could see our product mix by profitability change. And what we did is we just figured out how do we deliver those products monthly that are the most profitable year round. And so we know that flip-flops don't sell very well October through January, but our scarves, they do very well. So we just really focused on making monthly profitability as a cash-based business versus trying to sell flip-flops that nobody wants to buy in the middle of winter.
And also the trend setting, right? Like large companies do, figure out what month sells the most product. I think it's a great answer. Was that discussion had on set and they just cut it out?
Yeah, it had on set. We explained to them like, hey, look, we ran out of footwear. We had nothing else to sell. So we pivoted and we started making bags, right? Which was, it was a cool departure as a company because we realized how much product we could then actually deliver to customers and how many more people we could help. Instead of just sticking solely with footwear manufacturers, we can help with, jewelry, clothing, belts, a bunch of other things that doesn't take a lot of training or tooling to manufacture, which then can help people in areas where they don't have training or tooling.
And it also solidifies the fact that you may not know what your biggest product is yet. Like your cash base and your customer base is growing. Meanwhile, the home run might still be in the bag, right? You don't know what it is.
Oh, no. We know what that is. Our AK-47 men's flip-flop, it is the best piece of footwear out there. I mean, it sells 4-to-1 to everything else that we sell. So, yeah, we definitely keep that thing optimized, but we know that in the winter months, we're just not going to sell as many, but it's still the number one revenue generator.
It's us Arizona boys, man. We're keeping you going in the wintertime. We wear flip-flops year-round.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah. But thanks to online, we know that the majority of our customers are Southern California, Texas, Florida, and North Carolina, right? So we can sell to those guys year-round because typically they're wearing flip-flops year-round.
Let's talk about, all right, so I want to come back to this, but you're bringing up a lot of great points. One of which is I'm a political junkie. That's my side hustle is just, I love politics and culture. So when you talk about going in and raiding, now you do entrepreneurship. I think most people don't realize that we don't war with any country that we have open trade agreements with. Like countries that we do business with, we don't fight them. And that's just kind of how it works. So I love the mantra. So when Mark talks about business over bullets, the first time you mentioned that, I thought you got Mark Cuban, like he's in this deal. Because that's kind of his thing too. Did you know that? Like, were you cognizant of that as soon as he said it on set? Because I felt it. I'm like, Mark's in this deal. He's doing it.
Well, he said it like 15 times. And every time he said it, I just wanted him to say it one more time because it was super validating. Because, I look like a hippie. I'm telling people that, not jumping out of airplanes and being a special operations dude, crashing doors and blowing up homes is the best thing for our country. It's a complete departure from what most people would think I would say. And when I say it to people, like, oh, they don't believe it. But when you have billionaire Mark Cuban preaching it, it's super validating. And so that was if we did it for anything else other than to hear him agree with us, like it was totally worth it to know that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
It was great.
I don't get why people don't get it though. I mean, you look at, I just had a brilliant thought. It left me as quickly as it came. But yeah, you look at like South Korea is a perfect example, right? South Korea, when the British left South Korea, their economy was the same size as Nigeria's, right? And they've got a free market economy and they're one of the most vibrant countries on the planet. North Korea, they don't have that. They like to fight with people and build bullets and bombs. Like to me, the contrast is pretty obvious. So
yeah, you look at Vietnam, people say, you can't do what you're doing in Afghanistan. Like, yeah, we can. It was done 50 years ago. Right now, Vietnam is the number one footwear producer on the planet. They're the number 2 coffee producer, which is the second largest traded commodity to oil, right? They are using economy to turn their country around. And we were tooth and nail with them, and now we just signed a trade agreement with them. This is how this works. Like you do business, things go well for everybody.
Totally agree. And China is being forced to be a free market economy, kind of, so that they don't totally collapse, which we'll keep our eye on that. But so yeah, let's see here. Going back to...
Yeah, we digressed a little bit, didn't we?
I know, but I've got I could totally go off on that tangent, have a lot of fun with it. Oh, you being a hippie. That's what stuck out to me. I don't see you as much. Are you a hippie? Because I see you more of like a stuntman Rick from Walking Dead kind of guy, like a business. I see you getting in there and doing business.
Yeah, we try to be so overt or covert, right? So if you have the long hair and the beard and the weird colored shirt and you're walking around in flip flops, people will underestimate you. So that's kind of our shtick. So anybody who listens to this podcast now has the inside track.
Hiding in plain sight. I like
hiding
it.
in plain sight.
I like it. Give me 30 seconds of your background. You mentioned being a successful executive. What kind of history do you have in terms of work experience?
So I'm an academy grad. So I went to West Point, graduated in 2001, right into the war. Served in special operations with the 2nd Ranger Battalion out of Fort Lewis. I lost track at 150 missions with them, 4 deployments. I got out and I built homes as a lead project manager for Centex Homes back when they were Centex Homes before the 2008 crash.
Okay.
And then I went to be the military sales director for a company called Remote Medical International. And so we did remote site medical care and rescue work for, people working in difficult areas. So I managed that and worked on some of the largest U.S. SOCOM projects for medical ever. Then I went to do product development for a company called Protect the Force. And so it was developing cool products and lightweight products for warfighters. So taking a need from the field, understanding the need, and then communicating it to manufacturers back home so that way they could build the right product for the end user. And so I did that for a few years. And then I went to go be the vice president of operations for a company called 1020 Services, which is a cleaning and restoration company that takes all of the military gear that typically gets thrown away after coming back from combat. And we would take it, clean it, sanitize it, and repair it for 80% less than the cost of replacement.
Nice.
So we were saving the U.S. government hundreds of millions of dollars by setting up these facilities around the country to repair gear. So that was my background. And so I cut my teeth in business, having other people train me how to do it. And then eventually when I had enough knowledge or confidence, I made the jump and realized that I still didn't have anywhere near as much knowledge as I needed.
Weren't as smart as you thought you were, huh?
Yeah.
That's always nice.
Yep.
And actually, that was kind of what I want to get back to. When you started in the tank, one of the first things we caught you on camera with saying was, we don't really know how to scale this, but we have people who do. And I thought, that inspires a ton of confidence if you're an investor. Was that part of the strategy, or did they just catch you at an awkward edit?
No, we'll fully admit what we are not capable of doing. Because it's better to have your known unknowns than your unknown unknowns, to quote former SecDef. We know where our weaknesses are. We'll readily admit them, and we're there in the tank to seek their assistance and guidance on it. I believe it's cheaper to hire brains than acquire them. And given our mission and our background, people have generally been pretty agreeable to working with us. And so if we have a question on scaling and manufacturing, logistics, or trade, it's a couple notes on LinkedIn, and I'm able to find the professional on it who I can sit down with and run them through an agenda, ask them all the questions I need. They give me the advice, and then I go back and I execute it. If I have any questions, I ask them again, and just keep doing that over and over. So ask for help, and then execute on the advice, and then ask for more help, and then just kind of keep doing that over and over until you get better. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of the questions were about diversification and about you guys kind of moving in a couple of different directions. Mark didn't ask any questions like that. The first time we saw him really get involved, aside from saying business over bullets, was when he made you an offer. He and Damon whispered for a while. They rudely interrupted Lori while she was trying to make you a deal and get into theirs. But was there any other feedback from Damon and Mark in terms of constructive criticism, advice, suggestions, things like that?
Not really. I mean, generally, I think they understood. We knew our business down to the numbers. They asked us a lot of our product mixes, what we were selling and what we were focusing on. And, 50% of our revenue is coming from our footwear, which is, I think, the answer that they wanted to hear. And then we were able to break down the different product mixes by percentage right on set. And so they were able to understand that we know our business and we're going to focus on the most profitable products. So the one thing they wanted to know was, when we scale, how our gross and net margins change. And we'd done all those forecasts and projections. And so we know right now that back then we were manufacturing in the most expensive way possible.
Yeah.
But with their help, when we hit those thresholds, we know the numbers or the volume breaks that they're going to get. So how we're going to be immediately profitable with an increase or a threshold point in sales. And so by knowing that information and giving them the goal and the target, they could all see how they could push us past that number easily, and everybody will make more money.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway, is show them how they can insert themselves and what the outcome is expected to be, and then they can draw their own conclusions about how intelligently you've thought that through, which I like that a lot.
Correct.
Now, what you said about production, it's got to be true because you gave your cost to produce at $20 plus $4.90 to ship. And I'm pretty familiar with China manufacturing costs. So to me, that seemed really high. Plus, on top of that, you're matching a contribution from at least your, I don't know, is it per product or is it just the Afghanistan manufacturer, this Hasina? You talked about matching her contribution to funding education in that country.
Yeah, so previous to this year, so last year, we had only donated a portion of the Afghan product back to Aid Afghanistan for education. But this year we made the decision that, I think the coolest thing that we do as a company is we put little girls in school. So we decided, hey, every product, whether it's a sticker or a t-shirt or a scarf, we're going to give to help those ladies go to school, right? Because I think it's cool and it's fun. I think people dig the fact that you're putting little girls in school, and who can really argue with putting a girl in school?
I can't. No.
You can't, right? So we made that change, and we looked at all the numbers on our product mix and how we were going. We said, hey, we're going to give 10% of gross margin to our nonprofits, which is about 2% net at that current forecast, and it works. And we're able to put little kids in school and do it. So, I got so distracted on how we got to it. Oh, manufacturing. So.
Well, no, my question was going to be, was that included in the cost? Because $20 a pair is pretty, you're selling them at a healthy margin, but $20 seems like there's a lot of room there for you to improve.
No, that is included in the cost.
Okay.
But since then we've able to slim our line, focus on the winners, up our volumes on the winners, get our volume breaks and discounts. We've been able to negotiate shipping discounts. And so, we were already in the past 3 months, we've brokered our shipping cost at 50% of what they were using the same methodology. So we've already saved ourselves 50% on shipping. Awesome. And then as soon as we hit our volume and convert over to container, we're going to get that break where we go sub $1 to ship. And then also our cost of manufacturing is going to go down.
Good stuff.
So, yeah.
And then in terms of the education over there, I had friends who got involved with the relief in Haiti. My first relief trip was Hurricane Mitch in Honduras years ago when I was still in school. Really enjoy that. I think that's awesome that you're involved in social causes. That's kind of the thing in our time is entrepreneurship that really focuses on doing more than just making money or creating a great product, which I like. What I think the challenge is, in Haiti, there's stats that less than 10% of the money that went to Haiti actually went to Haiti. So I don't know if what's his name, Ranjan, took it all and embezzled it or what happened, but how do you manage that in a country like Afghanistan where I understand that there is a lot of corruption or they're just kind of third world and the infrastructure is not there? How do you make sure that those girls are going to school? Even in the United States, the Department of Education has a hard time making sure that the money is spent on what it's earmarked for. How do you guys do that?
There's a couple different ways. One is we use third-party companies to ensure they're doing the audits on the books to ensure that, no more than 30% of the donations are going toward overhead. So we have 70% has to go to actual operational funds to the donation. And we use third-party organizations to do that. You look at GuideStar ratings and you can really focus on, you can look at the tax returns of these companies. You can see how they donate. And so if you want to donate to a social cause, spend the time, do the research, because if you're going to spend your hard-earned dollars to help somebody, you want to make sure that it's actually going to help somebody. Additionally, I have the landscaper clause just personally. If you need a landscaper to manicure your headquarters for your nonprofit, you don't need my help. So that's just it's a minimum threshold that we have as a company. And then we're active in the organizations. I sit on the board for the Team 5 Foundation, so the special operations medical nonprofit. We support, we volunteer at the Station Foundation. And then whenever we're in Afghanistan, we go to the schools or I have weekly or monthly calls with the executive director of the organization. And we do the same with MAG America. So you have to be involved in the old military adage of don't expect what you don't inspect. Is you got to inspect it. So if you're going to give to a social cause, you need to inspect it.
I think this is a question I had in my mind when I was watching is when you're starting a regular business or even an online business, you can keep the cost down so low. But when you have your center of operations in Afghanistan, how much of the net that first year or 5 years or whatever was affected by the fact that you actually were, I'm imagining you're inspecting, you're going out there, you're visiting, you're setting up. How much time were you spending outside of your own home state to run this business?
Very little, to be honest. And so, thanks to the U.S. government, they built my network for me. And I have a huge net. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. No, I have a huge network of people that are constantly in and out of these areas. And so I reach out to them via Facebook or through my network, and I say, hey, I need a third-party inspector. I'll pay you a day rate. Here's my standards. I'll train you up on it. When you're there, I need you to inspect this shipment, make sure that it's good, take all these photos, and then when I receive a good shipment, I'll pay you. And so you have an unbiased third party that's compensated on delivering a quality product.
Love it.
Yeah, and so you just hold everybody accountable for doing a good job through start to finish, and then you avoid corruption by Western Union and direct wire transfers, and it's pretty simple. Like, you can completely and totally avoid corruption.
So 2 things I want to go back to. One is the Shark Tank tsunami, how you took advantage of it, any mistakes maybe that you made that you would want to fix doing it over again. And another one is about your shark deal. So let's start with the shark deal. You leaving. Mark Cuban offers you $200,000 with Damon for 25% of the company, whereas you've asked for $150,000 for 10%. So in my mind, not like you said in the premium content, obviously your valuation is going to get cut in half. So is this about what you were expecting, having done your homework?
It was what we were expecting, and to be honest, I was thankful because our bottom line threshold was lower than that. So we would have, the value of a shark being there on the show and getting a deal with a shark would have been worth the low end of a standard valuation for a startup. But their bottom offer to negotiate up from was higher than our minimum threshold. So at that point in time, it was game on and time to have fun. And so we knew that Lori wanted in. So we were trying to up the valuation and get a third shark in the business. And the best advice I ever got on negotiations is a good negotiation is where both parties feel like they've given up a little.
I'm writing that down right now.
Yep. And so, we felt like we came down 33% on our valuation. They felt like they gave up a little bit more cash for a fair amount of equity.
And at least in the edit, I don't know if this is how it happened, but in the edit, it looked like asking for that feminine touch was very risky. I'm guessing maybe that's just the way they displayed it on TV. Was there a negotiation prior to that we missed where you had talked with Lori or she'd had more input in this deal?
It was funny. We were just kind of sitting back and the 3 of them were arguing. Nice. And I actually had to raise my hand to make that comment to include Lori. It's legitimate. I mean, they were definitely having that discussion on the show, and we fought to get her on the team because I think that if you're a team of dudes trying to educate girls, I think you should at least have one strong, powerful female figure on the team. We aimed for that.
She must love you. I don't know if she sent you chocolates or something afterwards, but that was a smart move on your part.
Yeah, she called me the next day, right to my cell phone, like right after I got off my airplane, and said a personal thank you. And she's a fantastic person to work with and discuss ideas with.
Nice. And so just to clarify this, Damon when they made the offer, Damon turned to Lori and answered one of her questions, said, you're going to get your regular retail markup or your regular retail rate. So it sounds like they were going to wholesale product through her or allow her to take it on QVC and give her a regular margin. Is that what was being discussed?
That's exactly what was discussed. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And for people who don't know, typically when Lori takes her products on QVC, the entrepreneur will sell them through her and she'll get her markup on those. So that's, if that was confusing to you, that's I was assuming, and now it sounds like it's correct. All right. So last thing, let's put the papers away. Let's talk about the Shark Tank tsunami. Let's talk about your preparation, since you're a military man and I know you were ready, and let's talk about expectations versus reality. What did you do to make the most of it, to increase sales as much as you could, and what input did the Sharks give you that you utilized to help it grow as large as possible?
So thankfully, we had truly educated ourselves, in the process of doing all of the Shark Tank research for going into the tank. There's a lot of data in there on how you need to prepare your website. And the number one thing that you're going to see is my website failed. You will never get this chance again. You get one shot at it ever. You're going to the big show. Don't mess around, right? There are legitimate, huge website companies that can handle and process 500,000 orders a minute. If you don't transition to one of those big companies to have them manage your sales, you're incorrect. You just have to have a website, because you're going to get 22 to 30,000 hits a second on your website. Your website should not breathe hard. It should move customers to the cart as quickly as possible and get them out of the door, period. All right, so get your website prepped. We use Shopify. Shopify and BigCommerce are the two main platforms that you're going to see that can handle that type of volume consistently.
All right, so great advice. Yeah, I don't get it. I still have people. I mean, I mentioned to you earlier, the people, same ones who got their money the day we talked, Savvy Naturals. Their site didn't go down for a segment. It went down for intermittently for a week.
Yeah,
and
you can't.
They still did multiple six figures. So think about what that week cost them. It just boggles the mind.
Yeah, and I mean the cost to have a platform like that is literally a few $100s a month. Like, do not step over dollars to pick up pennies on your website. Do it. Like, get your website working, and you want to be able to have a full-on custom support team. If your website goes down, they're able to respond to it. So the majority of the effort was cleaning up our website, making sure we had the right selection of products at the right price point, the correct messaging to drive customers to the cart as quickly as possible to get those consumers. And more importantly for us was email registration. So if people might have already spent their money on our Riveter or taken a look at Bear Tech or Major Mom on that show, and they may not have made it to our website, right? But by the time they already made it there, if they just give us their email address, that way we can give them updates, like that's worth something to me. So we were truly focused on email registrations to being able to secure those for future business once the Shark Tank wave tapers off.
How aggressive, this is a question for me personally, I'm curious, how aggressive was your, whether you want to call it your digital marketing, your email automation, your sideways sales letter, how aggressively were you contacting customers after that initial introduction and email capture?
So it was tough for us because we had tested out our marketing the month before. So we wanted to make sure that everything worked right. So, leading up to Christmas was a great time because we aired in February. So we started testing all those marketing campaigns, our messaging, our advertising, our Facebook ad spends on how we were going to do that based on our user base. And we got all of our data before then. And then once we acquired the users from the Shark Tank wave, we were immediately able to build those lookalike audiences and then turn the volume up. There were some products that we were back ordered on within seconds. So it was a little aggressive. Yeah, just
goes out the window.
Yeah, just gone, right? And our email specifically is just product description, big red letters. Hey, we're back ordered until April. If you buy this product, you will see it in April. In the receipt, it says, hey, this product is back ordered until April. We send them an email immediately afterwards. Hey, this product is back ordered until April. Bi-weekly month dates. Hey, your product is back ordered until April. So being a hyper and over communicative with the customer about where their current order is key to even get them to listen to your additional marketing. Hey, I've got t-shirts in stock, or hey, I've got jewelry in stock, or hey, I've got scarves in stock. They're not going to buy another product from you until they've received their first product. And we have received that feedback a lot. And we manage it in a very respectful, polite way and saying, hey, I'm sorry, we're still 3 guys grinding this out in a garage. I apologize for the auto email. I will take you off the communications list. Please let me know.
So you don't make any concessions. You just try to handle it as professionally as possible.
I just think that people understand that you run Shark Tank. You did really well. You sold a lot of product. I offer a full refund every single time. If you would like us to refund your product, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll ship it to you.
What's the percentage of takers? I'm curious. How many people actually are that put out that they say, yeah, I want my $70 back?
I don't know. We're probably 6,000 back orders deep right now. And I've probably had less than 50.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Plus
we're under
1%.
one. Yeah. Plus or minus 1%. Like, it's totally within reasonable value. And then we have all those dollars to fund operations and grow to get inventory during our peak selling season, which is May, June.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Props.
And it's just treat customers as if you wanted to be treated. Like, if you saw a cool product on Shark Tank and you bought it and you knew you were pre-ordered, how would you want somebody to talk to you?
So I want to go back to the original 2-part question. The other one was the Sharks. You already mentioned Lori's been a superb partner. She's been very good to have in the group. Collectively or individually, either one, kind of talk to me about the input and the action items that the Sharks tasked you with afterwards. I don't know if you had to come together since there's 3 of them, or they just have checklists that you're going over, but talk to me about the ideas that they implemented that said, hey, you know what, let's try this, let's do this, let's make sure this happens. The urgency versus the tasks on the list. Talk to me about that.
Just, you got to understand, the Sharks are busy people. Some of them are now in their 7th season. They're filming their 8th right now. And they've got anywhere between 20 to 200 businesses they're managing. You're going to work with their teams. You're not going to work with them quite often. I mean, you might get some interaction with them, i.e. providing them updates and advice, and they're going to respond back to you in a very succinct and candid way. But mainly you're going to be working with their team to bring your company up to doing and executing best practices and just focusing on profitability. So, that's just what you get from them is you're going to get small advice and input. You're going to get best practices from the team, and they expect you to run your own business and execute. Don't expect them to handhold you and do all the work for you.
I'm, you know who Marcus Lemonis is? You familiar with him?
I am familiar with Marcus Lemonis. I'm not he was at my buddy Coda Longboard's shop, and that didn't turn out so well.
Oh,
so.
Coda was your buddy?
Yeah. Like I'm here. I've got 3 of them hanging on my wall. See, check that out. Coda Longboards right there.
Yeah, you're not lying.
I'm not lying.
I mean, he said the product was fantastic. He and your buddy just didn't hit it off so well. The reason I brought it up is
what happens.
Yeah, well, Coda was one for the record books, not in a good way though. He's doing a new show, a la Donald Trump, The Apprentice, or Mark Cuban, The Benefactor, where he's hiring the partner. And I saw that because he needs help running all these companies. I think he's invested in like 25, 26 companies. Well, Mark Cuban's done 46 or 47 deals now. So I'm wondering when he's going to start that show because I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to apply for. No, I'm kidding. Like who's going to get in there and say, all right, Mark can't be here today, but here's what I want you to do to make sure we don't make $1 million after airing. We're going to make $2 million. And this is how it's going to happen. Because I keep hearing this a lot more as the seasons go on. We're not getting as much direct input. We're not getting as much time. How could you? They're running dozens of companies. And it's every single Friday.
Yeah, and they have fantastic teams. Don't trust that person's going to do everything for you. Like they're successful because they're good leaders, right? Work with their team. If you work with their team, you'll do well. It's pretty simple. So.
All right. Well, I want to encourage everyone to make sure they check out your products, your line, and your mission because it's phenomenal. So tell everyone where they can find you, the website, social media, and let's make sure they do that.
All right, so the website is www.combatflipflops.com, and we're going to give you a coupon code right now for 20% off your first purchase.
Sweet.
Which is going to be Shark Tank Podcast. See how that goes?
You really did come prepared, man.
I did come prepared. And then our Facebook is facebook.com/combatflipflops. Instagram is @combatflipflops, and then Twitter is also @combatflipflops. So everything's at Combat Flip-Flops. We guarantee it.
It was a great segment, great company, great mission, and I assume that we're going to see some updates in the future and we're going to hear good things about the company going forward. So I appreciate you spending this time with us, and I would encourage everyone to get on your email list, if not to buy a ton of product, to at least see that you guys know what you're doing and now you do know how to scale and you're setting blazing a path for other entrepreneurs and to follow you on social media.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show, and I hope all of your entrepreneurs squarely get after it and do well in the tank.
All right. I appreciate it. And thanks for all the one-liners, man. You should write a book.
It's there eventually. Thank you.
All right, Griff.
So Damon's willing to let me in on that offer. We're splitting it 3 ways.
No.
Like I said, Lauren, we don't want you.
This is 12 and a half over here. You don't have to put up any cash, and you get to pick any of the products that you feel work for your outlets.
And what do I make from that?
You make your money, your markup.
Just on those products.
I would rather be a partner with you.
I think the business needs a feminine touch, guys.
No.
We're putting women-
Well, then, look, if
putting
you're going to do
women in
that, then we're
school.
probably going to have to come back and ask for 30%.
Would you do a deal 30% for 3 sharks? That's a lot of horsepower.
We would have to up the cash to do that.
Well, maybe they will. You got to come back.
Can you do 300 for 30?
I'll do 110. I don't care. You guys?
Done.
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 Business.
It's going to work.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Griff.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
everything
much.
you've done. Absolutely.
Hey, looking forward to working with you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you,
Good
Lori.
job.
I just didn't want to take too much of the company.
No,
That's
I
all it
totally
was.
get it. It's a good cause.
I gotta tell you,
it's a good mission.
I love their mission. I really love this product.
I agree.
Yeah.
We did it.
It's awesome. We're going to help a lot of people and do a lot of good things. We think Mark's going to help us dominate the tech space where we want to be. Damon's going to help us with branding, and Lori's going to help with distribution. It's a dream team.
Right.
Couldn't be more excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for jumping in to the Shark Tank podcast. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes and head over to SharkTankPodcast.net to get the show notes from each episode and join the free Shark Tank Insiders list. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Shark Tank Podcast and on Twitter at Shark Tank PDcast.